All right. Hello, folks. Welcome to a Tuesday pairing stream. And good morning, at least here on the West Coast in the US. Good evening, I guess, in Europe. How you doing, Mike?
Doing well, doing well. And you?
Doing all right. So, what have we got on the agenda
Jira
for
board?
today? Yeah.
Let's see.
Should I bring it up?
Oh, sure. I guess at the highest level, we're still working on adding songs via bulk load of TSV.
Right.
And
And last
then,
time we made some nice improvements to actually propagating the errors to the front end as opposed to just throwing an exception.
right. And I guess the middle level thing was we're handling incorrect number of columns pasted.
Right.
And once we finish that, we're going to work on skip over unused columns.
Yes.
And we'll need a header row for that.
Hey there, stupendous fellow. Welcome.
Great name. Stupendous name, I meant to say.
It's a stupendous name.
So let's see.
Hey, Catalin.
You got one.
So,
Looks like we're going to put the import string back in the box upon
yeah,
failure.
I think we should do that because that would really. We talked about that last time. It would be nice if it fails, we kind of see what we put in. So let's start by running our tests.
Yep.
Probably want to run all of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure,
Already
we're
did.
in good shape.
So far, so good. Yep.
All right.
We're happening.
All good.
I'm going to switch that back to IO3.
So let's see. So when you actually have the code at the bottom that we want to look at, so let's make that bigger. Let's bring the full method into view. So we can ignore the null because that should just never happen. So if it fails, so if it's success, then we redirect just to the root. At some point, we'll probably want to redirect to somewhere else, but that's good enough for now. But if it fails, then we add the failure messages, but we lose because that information is not sent back, and the page, and we're basically doing a redirect, so the page reloads. I think we can just add another flash attribute for the input field itself.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, Stupendous Fellow asked about. Yes, we are using Jira.
Yep.
And it's called Jira.text. And yes, it is a joke, and we laugh every time. That way we can say we're working on Jira 58. Yeah.
Yep. And it's a much more efficient Jira. Doesn't take up much disk space. Doesn't take up
Yes.
much cognitive load.
It doesn't cost any money. So yeah, so I think what we need to do is so one thing that happens sort of for us, which I was talking about this on I think it was Twitter, whatever they call Twitter these days. I refuse to call it its current name. There's a mapping of the form that gets sent in from the front end. Maybe pop open the HTML for that in the top. Nope.
I forget what it's called. So I'm just going to go HTML and then see what we get.
So you're doing a find in files. You
Oh,
probably
no.
want
No, I
Control
did not
Shift
mean to do that. I meant to do this.
Yes.
And it's
That's got to be
the
the one.
yeah.
Not that many choices. So let's look. Yeah. So if we look at the form, we see the text area, its ID there on line 15 is TSV songs. That gets mapped to the input string on line 27 at the bottom because it matches. Spring will basically try to match that name. It's a bit concerning always to me to rely on the parameter name because you might unintentionally refactor that and say, I don't like TSV songs. Maybe I want TSV bulk import text or something. And so what we probably want to do is actually annotate that variable. So that way we can have sort of a what's the word? I can't think of the word.
So like defensive programming technique to
Yeah, there was another word I was thinking of. It's and it'll come to me at some point, probably in the shower or something. So what we want to do is put an annotation. This one would be at request param. Yeah. And then that takes the parameter of a string, which is the name that basically the stable name that won't change.
oh, I see. So you're saying if we change this name,
We can change yeah, so we need to put in request param, we need to put an annotated parameter there. Sorry, just a
like this.
parameter. And that's the string called TSV song. So that way that's stable
Ah,
and it will use that
not the
instead
variable
of
name.
the variable name. Yeah. So now we can rename the variable to X if we wanted to, and it wouldn't matter.
We could rename it
Um,
to X Twitter.
yes, we could do that. Or just XITTER, which is pronounced as you think it should be.
I haven't heard that one. That was really good.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. So now that we've done that, now we can be more clear about what the parameter is, and then we can stuff it back in using the add flash attributes that we have at the end of this method.
So test first,
I
or no?
guess. Sure, why not? We're changing code. We should write the test first.
So we've got handles null text, and we've got song import adds failure messages for failed import. So you think would be a new? I guess we could do it 2 days. We could have it be a new assert, an additional assert on this, or a completely new test.
Um, I feel like this is behavior about the failure message. Sorry, this is the behavior about the failed import, and that failure message is one aspect of it. Um, so I think
Ah,
at
separate.
no, actually, I think adding
Oh,
it here is fine
okay.
because we can change the test method, but basically, like we expect the right things to happen upon failed import. We expect failure messages to be there, and we expect that the TSV songs is what was originally put there if we wanted to go that far. So so this brings up a good question that I'm often asked about sort of testing at different layers, different levels. Stupendous fall. I'll get to your question in a second. And I'm more comfortable having kind of these multiple asserts, even though they're asserting different properties at this level, because it feels like the further away, so the further you get to
Mm,
the edge, or the closer you get to the edge, the further away from the center. Uh, sort of you're testing multiple things. You're looking at it. This is the subcutaneous test of what do we want it to, how do we want this form to behave, and so we want to then assert on the behavior of in a sense the entire page, the entire result.
right. That makes sense.
Because we don't need to, as we see in this test, if you bring the whole test into view, we don't actually test the content of the failure messages, right? We just say that there are, and we check that there are two. But we
Right.
don't check the exact content because we have tests for that. We have tests that are closer in, that are better defined, that test more variations. But at this level, we don't need to test that. We just need to see really what are the things that go wrong. We forget to put stuff in the model or in the flash attributes, redirect attributes.
Right. So here we're mostly just did we get the malformed the two malformed songs
Right,
in the flash attribute to be named.
right. So this stupendous follows question. For HTTP APIs, I generally would name my DTOs request and response. as you mentioned. But I also name them also depending on their roles. So this is not a REST API, quote, REST API, unquote. This is actually a web UI. So here, we're not using a DTO yet. We do have some view objects. So we have some DTOs that are view objects. And I actually have an article about some of this that I actually need to update because it was sort of unfinished. So put that article there for you to take a look at. Hey, Jonas, welcome. So let's add on to the test.
Okay. So let's see. We're checking the redirect here. We're checking that we got a number of failure messages. So we want something. Well, we want to definitely. Well, yeah, I guess we can start backwards. So assert that.
Mhm.
And what do we want to call the
We can call
maybe
it TS.
original bulk songs or something like that?
I mean, I might
I
just
guess we
call it.
could. What were we going to say?
I was going to say, how do we think about this? This is
As like a putback?
original text area content, because that's kind of what it is.
You know, yeah, content. That could be a longer name, but I'm okay with it. So let's create this one, local variable. No, string. And we want it to, I guess, contains exactly.
Well, it's not contain. I mean, you could actually do
Well,
contains. I think.
or do we want it just to be non-empty? I mean,
Um,
in the same spirit of the has to. Sorry, mouse.
well, so for the failure messages, we have tests on that, right? That exactly what the messages are. Here for the text
Oh,
area,
we
we
don't.
have no such tests. So I'd
Yeah.
like to do something like, let's start out with is equal to the original malformed songs. I don't know if there'll be some line trimming or white space trimming that will affect that, but we can always fix that once we see. In a sense, this is are we close enough?
Right.
Putting aside white space. So we got to assign that. Yeah.
Redirect attributes. Get flash attributes. Get. And I don't know, original text area content.
Well, this I think we know what that is. That's the TSV songs. That's the request parameter name, right? Because that's what we want to put it back as.
Okay, right.
Right. So that has to match the name of the input, the text area ID.
And it's unhappy. Why?
So you got to cast it.
Oh, cast it.
Because it's just an object from its point of view. Hey there, Veganese. Well, when Mike and I are pairing, nobody gets to choose dark mode, so don't feel like. And you actually reminded me to turn that off during pairing mode. When I'm solo, I'll do dark mode, but not when we're pairing.
Really? I didn't know you did dark mode at all.
I have a Twitch redemption where if you have enough test passing points, you get to redeem it for dark mode. And there's some folks like Wheatlaw and some other ones who have quite like many thousands of points, and so they redeem those for like a 25-minute period.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, YouTube's stuff like that, it has nowhere near the kind of viewer interaction types of things that Twitch does, which whatever. That's why I prefer Twitch. All right, so what's our expectation here?
Well, if we didn't set the flash attribute at all, I'm expecting some sort of error. I don't know exactly what get flash attributes returns, but we could find out if it does an exception or something.
Yeah, I
It
think
might just be an empty string.
it'll either be, yeah, I expect either well, since it returns a map, then it's likely going to be a null,
Hmm.
because get flash attributes returns a map of string to just unknown, and since that's just a regular map, the contract is then null if it's not in there. So that's my expectation.
Okay, well, let's run it.
Did not expect actual to be null. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was null? Yep. All right, let's make it not null
So let's
and get
production
closer.
code a little easier to read.
You could do Control D.
Ah, I was debating whether to copy and paste or to
Yeah, why
just start
not?
from scratch. But you're right.
We have a test that will tell us if we copied and pasted wrong.
True. Now this is. Does that feel right? Feels pretty good. Just thinking out loud.
It's
Yeah,
good to me.
let's go
You're going
for
to
it.
delete that extra space, right?
Which one? Oh yeah, sorry. That's the problem with 150% zoom is it's hard to keep it all on the screen and see
Yeah.
the fuzziness of your layout.
Yep.
Okay.
So we expect this will either pass or be off by some
Small amount.
line white space. But hey,
Sweet.
look at that.
Nice.
It passed. All right.
So should we run it and see it
Yeah,
actually
let's
happen?
run it to see if it actually works, even though
Yeah.
if
It
anything goes
should.
wrong here, it's in the HTML.
Let's see. I think I have it. Yep. And
Did you run the app?
I thought I did. I may have just forgotten to press. I've never done that before, Ted.
Yeah. And that's why the shortcut, which is really inconvenient on the PC, to bring up the run menu, because it basically runs the one you select as opposed to just making that the active one.
Yeah, I always forget what the. Do I have it handy? The run. Oh yeah, Alt Shift F10. It's like so not like.
It is not intuitive at all.
Not even remotely.
Like there's no relation between, and of course that's the purpose of function keys, not to have that.
Okay. Oh, I should probably do this off screen. That's the one thing I did not do was.
Yeah,
I'll let you talk.
double tap of control will work too. I just never like double taps, but I'm on a Mac, and so it's just something R. I'd have to look at where my fingers are. It's what's it? Control Option R on the Mac is much easier. You logging in through Kind?
Yeah, I totally spaced on getting my password vault set up and ready before we started streaming. I think I need to add it to my checklist. Let me go check my checklist.
I was going to say.
No, I don't have it on there. That's why I didn't do it. And that is bringing up password vault. I love checklists. They are so boss. Okay, now we're back. We got song importer.
Yep. So Dudeman, there's control, which is run anything. And then there's shift, which is search everywhere. And those are, if you don't know the more precise shortcuts, those are great. There's something about the double tapping I just don't like. But and then there's option, at least on the Mac, which turns on your multi-caret stuff. All right, so
So I'm gonna
let's paste some bad stuff in.
just grab something from my thing, which is incomplete. How about this? Not enough columns.
All right.
Okay, fire off import.
Oh no.
Ooh, didn't work. Number of columns was 2.
I wonder if we have to put it in this session.
Oh, interesting that Flash attributes are not, well, this attribute made it over. Oh, wait a second. No. Do you think the request param is not sufficient as an attribute?
Well, let's see. So, what's the order of events that happen? So we do a post to here, we set the redirect attributes, we do a redirect to where? We
Song
redirect to
import.
song import. So that does a get request on the song import. Let's go to the song import. It'll be it'll be the get mapped method for that. Should be able to control click on that, I bet.
Oh, here.
Yeah. And we want the
icon's the same.
that's weird. Why doesn't it tell us? Because there are two different kinds of requests. It doesn't tell us which one is which.
And the
Jump to the
icons are the same.
second. Are the icons
Okay.
different?
No, they're
Yeah.
not.
So, yeah. So that needs
Do
improving.
we have 2 song imports?
Yes, we do, because one is the get mapped. So I
Oh,
assume
right,
if you select the first one, that's the first one in the order.
in the file. I'm gonna go back down again and do it again.
Yeah.
So
So the first
that
one
should
should
go to
be
the get.
yeah. So there are pop-ups I've seen where IntelliJ will prefix it with get and post. I don't know why in that one it didn't. Make a note of that.
Do you think it was a setting that I need
No,
to enable?
that's totally not something that you. I've never seen a configuration option for that. So go to declaration for the for redirect string. Doesn't give us the mapping type, which is not great. So what we need to do additionally, I believe, and let's do it as a spike, and then we'll test drive it. So let's what we need to do is, because the get mapping returns the page, the flash attributes survive. Why does it may be because it doesn't
Because
connect
this
it
one?
with the model?
Interesting. But I mean, this one survived. Right? Because when we went back to
Yeah.
look at the browser.
But I think because it's a model attribute, we have to I'm not sure. So yeah, so let's try this.
Oh, wait a second. Do we need to do, is it a time leaf issue where it needs
Oh, of
the
course.
squirrely thing?
Of course. Um yeah, we're sort of well, let's see, would that matter? I wonder how it I guess it has to
So it would be something in here possibly?
yeah, we need to make this a th field. That's why. Right. As I said, I figured it'd be something in our HTML if it didn't work. Yeah. So yes, so let's change the text area. Let's drop the ID and name. You
Oh,
want to
really?
do it, yeah, because what we're going to do is we're going to replace it with th
Oh,
colon uh, let's see, what do we want? We want oh, actually we could just do a th value. That would be fine. So sorry, revert the change. Yeah, and so add on, you can put it after, right after the text area open. We'll do a th colon field.
right here.
Yeah, and that's going to equal the dollar open curly close curlies, and then in there is going to be TSV songs.
Do you think is there a reason to keep? I mean, we're keeping the name the same. Is it more than for consistency's sake, but because
Well, this specific name must match what we add to the field attributes.
here?
Add to the flash attributes, yes.
But what I'm asking is, does this name now still need to be called TSV songs to match this?
Um,
Like, would
so
they?
the ID must match the incoming request param,
Right.
and the th field, when this page gets generated, pulls from the model, which is what we're adding to the flash attributes. So they could be different. I don't know why you do that. Why would
My
you? Why
whole
would? Why would you? Why? So they
my
don't
my
have to be the same, but by convention, I make them the same.
right. I think my thought was this original text area content. Does that make it a little bit more self-explanatory from a maintenance standpoint?
I
That's
don't
where I was
believe
coming
so.
from. Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Cool.
I would be surprised if I encountered code like this where the field was different from the ID.
Got it.
Um, let's try it again.
Okay. Restart. Oop,
Oh,
I was a little bit premature. I think startup wasn't complete. Oh,
so let's look at the stack trace. What did we do wrong?
go back to the top.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's get to the start of the stack trace. All right, back up. So I had a problem parsing the template. Oh, sorry, because you typed th field, and I meant for you to type th value.
Ah, yeah, you said field, but I was wondering why it changed. I should have asked you. Okay, let's just rerun it.
Yep.
Wait till it's fully up this time. Okay, bring
All
this
right.
puppy back on screen. Okay, where we've got our data, our bad data. Import. Hmm.
Hmm.
Any indication here?
Let's try this in the get mapping method.
Uh,
Let's
what are you thinking?
we need to add a parameter to the method because I believe it's what did anybody call this method from our tests? Because if so, we're going to need to change signature. We got one test.
One test.
Um,
Yeah.
so let's go ahead and do a change signature.
I always forget that one by heart. F6. Yeah, no wonder I don't forgot that one.
Yeah.
Control F6. Okay, what do we want to add?
We want to add a type of model.
Which one? Spring UI?
We want the Spring Framework UI, yes.
Model and OK name?
Model's the best name.
The best name. Awesome. Anything else?
Let's have as the default value
Yeah.
a new concurrent model.
There it is.
Yep. Yep.
Refactor.
Yep.
Let her rip. So are you thinking we'll pull from the model here?
So in there,
There meaning the song import.
yeah,
Yep.
right there, yeah,
Yeah.
where your cursor is. So at this point, the Flash attributes should be there. I'm going to say let's run in even though I don't normally do this. This is more to understand how the framework's interacting. Let's set a breakpoint on line 26, and then we'll take a look at the model. And so let's run it in debug mode. So you want to click the bug.
And we're up. Okay, let me get the window back. Whoa. What changed?
I don't know. Just hit reload.
Interesting. Okay.
I like how it says 0 classes reloaded. It's like, all right.
It just wanted to talk to us. It was feeling lonely. Okay, so we're at the breakpoint. And it wants to reload again. Fine. Did you want to look at the model?
So the model is empty.
Hmm.
Because I think the redirect attributes are not held in the model; they're held in a separate thing called a flash map. And so what we want is let's stop the application and change model to I wonder if it's because we don't have the oh, that should be okay. Let's change that to redirect attributes.
What's it going to do with the? Oh, it's still going to is redirect attribute still derived from concurrent model, or is that going to break 20 on the test?
That's going to break the because they're not compatible, and that's fine. We'll just pass in null for that.
Got it.
I mean, we could pass in a valid object, but we're not running the test right now.
So we're going to rerun via the debugger to see what the
Yeah.
content is.
Yep.
Okay. Man, I've run a debugger in ages. Yes, we know.
It's so weird why it does that when it's clearly no classes.
Yeah, nothing to. Also 0.
This is always so frustrating because like the docs are not helpful here. They just describe the reference docs describe how to do it, and a lot of the examples that you find are basically doing what we're doing with failure messages, but not with restoring the actual input.
Mm.
I'm going to say let's not push on this anymore because I don't think that's good use of our pairing time.
Yeah.
So let's defer this. Let's undo the changes we made for this, and I'll research this offline.
Actually, unclick Jira, but just these 3. Or should we look at each of them and make sure we're not going to lose anything?
I think we want to keep the I actually think we want to keep the change we made to add the flash attribute because I still think that's the right thing.
Okay.
But for the parameter to the get mapping, we want to undo that. Yeah, so let's restore that method. Yeah, and then restore the test above.
Run all just to make sure we didn't touch anything.
Yeah, so let's just look at what the remaining changes are in the commit. So what was the change there? I think that's still fine.
Okay.
And that's the request param. Yeah, I think that's still fine. By the way, you can stay in this, and there's the left-right arrow that takes you through each file.
Oh, right. Forgotten about that.
That's fine. You can probably optimize the import on that one.
I do that. I need to do that from over here, right?
Yeah.
It was this one. Importer test?
I don't remember. I think so, yeah.
Yeah. No. The control shift. Oh, actually, that one I don't know by heart.
Control Alt O.
Alt O. Removed one import. Yep. Run all tests.
Yes.
Make sure we didn't bust anything. Probably should do a sanity check on the running the app as well.
Right.
Oh, failing test.
Because now why didn't that fail before? Did we not run all the tests when we added the request param?
I don't recall.
We
I
probably
discussed
didn't.
something with doing IO free. Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to fix that. So let's modify this test. So after the post, what we want to do is a dot param. So right at the end of 31.
On that same line?
On a new line is fine. And this is where we'll put TSV songs. And here we'll actually have to give it, so it's a name value pair. So it's basically what the contents, we're simulating the contents of that. We can just add an empty string as the second parameter.
Oh, like that.
So that'll have an error, but it'll still do a redirect. And so that's all we care about, I believe. Let's try it. Because I think all outcomes of the post are redirects.
Looks like we're good.
All right.
Alt Shift F10, run the app. What? Interesting. Did it lose the login?
I don't know.
Okay.
That goes.
That was weird.
Did you refresh? Just do a refresh? I wonder if.
I think I did.
Yeah.
Versus. Okay, that's correct behavior.
All right. Let's move on.
Well, that was unsatisfying.
Yeah. I mean, we could, I could do a little bit more research. There are a few things that we can try, and I have a feeling we'd figure it out, but it would probably take another 5-10 minutes, and I don't think that's good use of our
Streaming time.
Yeah.
So
All right.
should we jump to Jira 59?
Yeah. So let's.
Actually, we should commit.
Yeah, we should commit.
Failing stab at putting original bulk import text back. Good enough? You paused. That means you want to change something. I could tell.
No, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I was just looking at an example, and I think there's one thing that we can try, but I'll try it offline. It might be literally one thing, but let's move on.
Okay.
So we could do that, or we could go and skip to so if 059 is a refactoring, we could do that, or we could skip to 62.
Oh, this would be a fun change of pace, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do something a little more featurey instead of
Yeah.
refactorish.
What?
You are toggling insert mode.
Yeah, I was. I thought I had it, but I didn't have it right. There we go. I think I got it right now. Yeah. Off by one. No modes.
Yeah, no modes. I saw some discussion in the chat about modes and whether the double tap is a mode. It's like no modes, insert. If you're a Vim user, you're all about modes. I'm an Emacs user, which is all about not being in modes. So it's a philosophy. All right. So what do we want to do here? This is where we basically tie our inputs, the columns to the basically match against the column headers as opposed to assuming a specific order.
Right.
So
How do we do this in a baby step way?
well, one baby step way is to be just backwards compatible, to use the current columns that we expect, but instead of using positional, so basically treat it as a refactoring, right, an implementation.
Hmm.
And so instead of positional, do a lookup in the header rows, but we will need to change some behavior, because right now the only rows that we skip are blank ones. We will now need to skip header rows. So what's our specification for knowing what's a header row?
Well, I currently have, looks like 3 rows as the header, but the one that has the header names is the third one. It doesn't have to have the title, 1 and 2, but I know you like to keep it friendly for the users. Even
So
on the
can we assume the row that has artist in it in the first column is our header
Oh,
row?
that's an interesting idea.
Because if you leave out that's a required column. So if you leave that out and somehow
Yeah,
you just copied, from column 2, it wouldn't be valid anyway.
right.
So we could say that the header row is the one that contains artist, and so we skip until we find that one.
Is artist, well, too generic? Like, would it be better to call it like artist slash band name? Something that's, I mean, I guess it would, nah. What I was
Well,
thinking was,
we could always encode later in a config or something, what are the possible header names for that column. But I think right now we can be be more
what I
Yagni.
got
It's
right
like,
now.
what do you have
Yeah,
right now? Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
So if we were, so I think to be fully backwards compatible, what we want is to implement skipping. That's not just blank rows, but basically uh, skip past the header row. So if the row is
Right.
not empty, um, gets a little tricky, because what we'd want is, let's say you copied, from row 1, column 1 to, all the way out to row, 10 of column, whatever the last theme column is.
And contributor.
Yeah, so if you did that to row 10, we'd have to skip past the first 3 rows, and the only way we'd know that is if, uh like, how do we tell the column 1 is part of the header versus just it doesn't have enough columns?
Oh, right, because we're checking on number of columns too. Right, because the first row has 1 column, second row has effectively 0 columns. Well, actually, does that second row come across as a bunch of tabs?
I forget, maybe,
Yeah,
but somewhere we do a trim, but I'm not sure if we do that for detecting blank lines.
true. I don't. You have to go look.
So I'm not sure I see a good way to make it fully backwards compatible. Like, we could do something like, well, if it doesn't have enough columns, let's continue scanning until we find one that has artist in it, and then we'll know we were in a header row. Otherwise, we'd have to restart and say, no, there was no header row. Let's rescan everything. And then the first row is basically an error. And that just feels like
A lot of work
a
for.
lot of work for not a whole lot of benefit.
Yeah, I think just either I delete these 2 rows from the spreadsheet, or for now, since we're doing copy and paste anyways, we just do a selection like that. Because the row 1 and row
Yeah.
2 thing are
Yeah.
totally sugar,
And
right?
eventually we could, once we say now we require a header row, then we can skip past the first two rows and basically ignore everything until we hit the header row.
Right.
But for now we can say um, it's a header row if unless we just want to skip right to we require a header row.
So let's see, what's the advantage of requiring a header row out of the gate? I guess for backwards compatibility, it means a little
So
bit
it
less
would
time
it would
being
break
read.
that, yeah. So if we say we require a header row, that's no longer backwards compatible.
Yeah.
Whereas if we detect whether there's a header row, um, I mean, basically, the real question is what do we want? Do we want to always require a header row? Like, you know, when the thing is fully up and running, do you want to require a header row? Kind of feel like we have to.
I think so too. I think it's a good
Yeah.
idea.
So then it's not really backwards compatible. I don't think we can. Then I don't think we can do this as a refactor. I think it's
Right.
too much work for not enough benefit. So um, that means we need to basically change all of our tests uh, to to include a header row. So Veganese asks, do Macs allow window snapping? I don't believe Macs have that built in. I use an app called Rectangle Pro to do that. Well, we kind of have a Sentinel column, which is the first column. We're basically saying it has to have the word artist in it. But I think it's too difficult to. I mean, we could basically say if the first row is not a header. I mean, we have to look at sort of what the behavior we want is. And I think we decided we want a header row, and so we're going to get there anyway. So we may as well go there now. Yeah. So we can make that as a tiny change that basically the first row must have artists in the first column.
So I'm trying to remember which tests are.
So what I would say is, since we're doing a behavior change, we want to think about it outside in, and then sort of propagate the changes down. So let's start at the song importer, because that's where the text comes in.
At the importer test level or MVC test level?
Well, MVC is only for new endpoints. We're not changing
Right.
any of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
endpoints. So it's at the importer level. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can close these guys.
If you wanted, you could name it song importer subcutaneous test, but that might be a bit hard to read.
I almost made a joke saying you're getting under my skin, Ted, but
Oh,
I didn't make
ouch.
that joke.
No, you didn't. I didn't hear that. So the first one we don't care about. It's basically that's just testing for the template. That's the one we care about. So let's make it fail in the expected way. So we'll have to make that a multi-line string now. Yeah, I don't think
Really?
there's no, unfortunately, there's nothing that will convert that into a multi-line string, because it would actually change the string itself.
Ah. Wait. So it's 3?
Yep.
In Java, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then delete the quotes from there.
No.
And then Control Shift J to join those.
Yeah, I know. I knew it was J, but I was trying to remember which one it was. I was jumping on my cheat sheet.
That one I know, because it's the same keystroke on the Mac as on Windows. Let's run this. I think this will not change anything because we skip over blank rows. So let's just make sure that that's the case. But we can switch back now to IO free.
Yeah.
All right. And now we can
break it.
Now we can break it.
So we're going to put in a header row.
Yep.
Will this work? Actually, we wanted 9, don't we? So let me see if I got 9. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, see, I think I had hidden earlier. I think it was these 2 that were hidden. Does that give us 9? 1, 2. No. What did we done? Artist, song title, release type, skipped notes.
So you had notes there.
Yeah.
And we just skipped over it.
Oh, we just skipped over it.
Yeah.
So do we really have 9? We had more than 9 columns then. 1, 2.
Well, basically, we ignored everything after the 9th column. So here you have 10 columns, but we ignored column 10, and we skipped over notes.
Right. Okay. So I just want to make sure I got the right headers.
Yep.
So would this actually? Let's see what this does. Actually,
those are tab characters.
Yeah, do a multi-select. Is that what you were about to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Alt J.
Select first and then do.
All right.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so now it should.
So you got radio clean in there as the headers, but we don't currently expect that.
That's one of the ones we're not expecting, right?
Yeah.
Right, my count was off. Get rid of the T.
Right.
Let me go back and
Hide
hide
that
that
one. Yeah.
column from now.
Soon you won't have to do that.
Yeah, I know. That'll be great. It's clearly causing a lot of cognitive friction, so
It's yes.
I'm glad we're
Yes.
tackling this.
Yeah. I mean, it's all, it's not, it's like, which ones did we originally skip?
Right.
Which ones did we hide? Which ones did we show but then skipped anyway? It's terrible.
Yeah. So now it should fail.
Biggins wants something.
Alt J the band. I think there's a control band too, a band that's
Yes.
control something, control plus O, I think.
As long as you don't have a band that has the pound sign or the hash mark in it. I ran into a bug on an application that basically sort of bookmarks your current page. So it takes the title and basically turns it into a markdown thing. So it takes the title and then puts the link. But it seems to be confused about the hash sign because one of the titles that I was copying had the language name F# in it.
Oh,
And the same thing happened for C#. And how are those written with the pound sign, the hash mark? And it basically treated that as like, oh, I'm going to ignore everything after it. And it just
really?
it did not handle that at all, which was very surprising to me because like, why are you looking at that as in the title? And I'm not sure if it's the I'm not sure where the problem is because it's basically copying it from the browser into another app. So I'm not sure if it's the extension that's broken or something in the API to the app that's broken. So yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's like as in the title, like that's just HTML. The hash mark is allowed. Whether it should be is a different question. Hey there, Tukes. Welcome. While we're on a tangent, I almost never use linked lists and stacks and queues depending on what the algorithm needs. I know that's not necessarily helpful, but it is definitely an it depends. But I almost never, I can't think of a reason to use a linked list. So A, I can't think of a reason why you'd ever write one. And B, I can't think of a situation where, what's that?
Other than in school.
Well, or an interview for a developer position where they're just being lazy. And I can't think of a reason to actually instantiate one in my code. I think I did it once and it's like, why am I doing this? There's no reason for it. All right, so what do we expect to happen here?
It should come back with a size of 2.
I agree.
Okay, let's find out.
So 2, not 1.
Yep.
Indeed.
Yep.
Yeah. So Tukes, that is the common reason why people say linked list, and I say prove it. Prove to me that whatever you're doing is actually faster with a linked list than with other data structures. And it's rarely the case that your actual runtime performance is going to be faster with a linked list. Unless you have a very unique way of dealing with your data. But a lot of the times, you really don't need it. Yeah, again, this is one of those situations where it's like, I've been writing Java for 28 years, and I can't think of more than 1 or 2 instances I've ever used linked list. And so there might be a better data structure, but it's again one of those, use the simplest, most straightforward ones until you have a good reason not to. Because absolutely, you might be giving up a lot of performance. Like, are you doing mostly writes and are you doing mostly sort of random inserts into all over the place? That would be a very unique situation. Or you're constantly inserting in the middle of a list. those are pretty rare. And so, again, I'd want you to prove it with show me the benchmarks, because it's likely that that stuff that's happening completely in memory is being dwarfed by other issues. That is almost always what I see. There is this is one of my favorite rants is uh yeah, I mean, like, these kinds of structures are super fast, but you have to know what they're for. Um and the problem is that in school, so those of you without us drilled into us and nailed, um big O, performance and so on, and performance is rarely up for 95% of the use cases of what you're typically doing. Problems are elsewhere. Uh, and maybe you just chose the wrong algorithm, but it's rarely the collection class. So choose the right collection class. But otherwise, run your performance, do profiling, see where the problem actually is. IntelliJ has a wonderful profiler built in. Gives you your flame graphs and things like that, and those are great. So before you try to optimize things, first of all, just get the code to work, right? This is the order of operations, right? Make it work, and then maybe make it fast, but only after you've proven with actual real world benchmarks that it's actually slow. So that's my rant. Uh, we're a little over the hour mark. Do we want to take a break since we've got a failing test?
Yeah, maybe just a quick 5-minute one.
Okay. So we'll take a break, and then when we come back, we'll fix the test, or at least attempt to fix the test. Hopefully, we'll do that one well. So we'll see you in 5 minutes. Switch the
Cool.
screens up. Yeah, you wanna fix the bottleneck. If you really need to drop down to assembler, uh, I don't know, I think you're working on atypical applications. Most information system business-oriented applications are not likely gonna need that, but hey, you never know. I haven't written assembler in far, actually not long enough. So, just a reminder, in our Discord, besides having great conversations about all sorts of stuff, including conversations like this, we also have a weekly book club. We are reading The Programmer's Brain. We just got into chapter 3, so like I always say, it's never too late to join. You can catch up. You can find transcripts and recordings of previous book clubs. So every Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. UTC, we get together, uh, usually 10 or 15 of us, and talk about what we find in the book and related things that relate to what we're doing. And it's really good discussion, good way to learn, and in this case, learn about learning. So join us. Just head over to the Discord if you're not already there, and you can join us on Sunday for our next session. All right, and we're back.
Okay. So now we got a failing test, but we want it to skip the header row. So we don't want to change the assert, right?
Correct, right? Because there really is only one song.
Right.
So let's go to our handle song import and see what we can modify there. And let's flip that to the bottom.
I close some of the other ones. Less distraction. So we would drive farther into the service.
Yeah, I mean, we could, make this
Check
test
here.
pass by just uh, trimming the first line from TSV songs, but that's probably not a good way to do it.
It would certainly pass, but does it
Yeah, it would
buy
certainly pass,
us
but we'd end
anything?
up.
It
Sorry.
doesn't really help us refactor towards the
Yeah,
goal.
not really.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, let's drive deeper.
So let's go here. Um, so now here we probably want to sort of hop back to our tests. So look at what's calling that, and then oh, we've got our startup tests. We should probably modify that one as well. Because this one is simulating the actual input from
Right.
more of an end-to-end.
Yeah, this one will break.
Yeah, so what we're doing is we're sort of taking the outer layer, writing tests against that those fail, and then we'll want to actually disable them while we work on our inner tests. But for now, we'd like um, uh, let's disable this test and say re-enable.
Sorry.
So let's say re-enable when.
Is that a hyphenated word?
I do it
Got to
as
be.
hyphenated.
Yeah. Okay.
Otherwise it's yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, when header rows are handled.
Okay.
And let's do the same to this one.
This one being this one.
Yes.
I'm going to be lazy.
Well, let's make the test fail correctly, because right now it passes.
Oh, yeah, good point. Good. Huh. Found songs has size 1. Oh, protest. Right. There's only one of that thing.
Yes. Yes.
Got it. Okay, let's run. This is,
That is not an IO free test.
so let me click over. And rerun as all.
So expect this one might still pass because it's treating the first one as a song. Uh, which
Right.
is interesting. Um,
Well, we never said you can't have an artist called artist and a song title
yeah,
called song title,
yeah,
and it's, you know, maybe someday there will be somebody who's has their stage name is just artist. I mean, I know there is the artist, formerly known as, but I don't think there's anyone called just artist. Which is why earlier this morning I was saying maybe we should rename it artist, or band name, because then
right,
it's harder for somebody to. It reduces the surface area of a collision between
right, right.
the header name and a real artist name.
So what do we think about this test? Do we want to just leave it and say it's fine, or do we want uh, or do we
Well,
want to do something?
we're gonna have to break it. We have to break something in order to add the behavior. Is this the right place to break it? This one's testing against service.
This is an end-to-end test. This is really just checking, have we broken anything that we didn't realize. So I'm inclined to just leave it.
Okay.
That we have closer in tests that test precisely what is parsed. This is really just saying, have we hooked in? This was more about, did we wire all our components together correctly? And that's why we called it our end-to-end test.
Right.
So I think it's fine to leave it. It doesn't happen to fail, but we want to have the header in there so that we know that that doesn't hurt anything, as it were.
Yeah. So then we'll go deeper and find tests against the parse method of the song
Right.
parser,
Right.
of which there are many, surprisingly.
So let's back up a second. I want to
Sure.
just see where we were here. Right. So here, what are the tests that we have directly against this method? So we
Startup
did that
test, and
one.
then
Yeah, let's look at
these two.
those two.
Yeah. That's what we get IntelliJ to do, to have a plugin that says if the class name ends in test, go into window
Yes.
A.
Go into the first pane. Yeah. Can we bring the full method into view? Yeah, okay.
Oh, all of them, or
No, that the method that you're in, bring it into view.
that's this one?
No. Wherever the caret is, that one.
Oh, right, that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's add our header.
I think it's still in the buffer. Yep.
Oh,
wait a second. Oh.
Yeah, because we had some
Our
test
tests.
data. Yeah. That's going to be a problem. So we got to fix that.
It really is. Yeah. Let's undo this first.
This is the downside of using generic data. It's come back to hurt us.
Totally coming back to bite us. Should we just convert it into real?
Yeah, let's just grab
names?
some
real
real
data.
data.
So we got 1, 2. And that's a 2 song.
So what I would say is, what's the other before you do this, what is the other
Mhm.
test that's testing import songs? It's probably the one below it. Okay, so that one's a malformed, so we'll have to fix that one up as well.
Yeah.
But okay. So let's because what I was going to suggest is we might want to start encapsulating the
Setup.
song setup, or at least the song text into a factory,
Mhm.
to make it easier uh, to then change it. We're certainly going to need that when we get down to the next level. Um, so let's fix this one up, and then we might want to extract a factory.
Okay. So do we need something that should have something in every column?
Yeah, this should be valid data.
Okay. Well, some don't have fields for their empty columns. Remember, some are
Um,
required and some are
right.
not. Um,
I would say a mixture of both would be nice.
okay, let's grab. We had 2, right?
Yeah.
Let me see if those 2 seem good. Yeah, so that's a mixture. Now I forget. Well, we'll find out what paste will do. I think it's going to do that. Yeah. So we'll have to. Can you do? Yeah, I can do it in 1, right? So, no, W. I wanted to select a single tab. Interesting. Screaming
So for
tyrant.
selecting a tab, you're going to just need to use the arrow
Here.
keys.
Yeah. No, I was in the wrong place.
Mm.
Okay. So now, Alt J.
Mm-hmm.
That should be it.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, this is the header row, isn't it?
It is now.
It-
Yeah.
yeah, it might actually. Is it exactly the header row? No.
Looks like it. It's that it's
No, no.
missing some
Themes.
columns.
Some
Yeah.
other themes. Yeah. So let's just delete both of these. Ah, this is why you wanted the factory.
Yeah, you're gonna have to copy
Just
paste.
manually copy paste. Okay.
I mean, you could get fancy with copy, and then you can copy the whole thing and replace the tabs with commas and surround them by quotes. I'm not sure you want to do that process.
No.
If you're fluent with multi-caret operations, you could do it.
Single. Single. Oh, it's a note. And we're including notes. So notes is 6th column. Oh, wait a second. Oh, we're skipping it. So that's fine. So theme 1 would be this. Theme 2 would be this.
Right.
And we're going to break shit.
Does create song not have var args for themes? So why is that one complaining? Oh, because it needs to be list of. Yeah, so you need to surround the Halloween and vampires with a list of.
Oh, right. Nope, nope. Of course, I couldn't think what I was thinking.
You
Can
didn't
we?
install the list of
No, I still need to
those
do.
six?
Yeah. I guess I'll just do it manually. Why?
You're you're probably missing a column. So I would do
Oh,
whatever the keystroke is to figure out what the parameters are. Control P.
artist, song title, release type, string theme.
We don't have a factory method for this one. We have the song title and then themes. We don't have one that takes.
Right, we have one just for one.
Yeah. So we're almost at the point where we'd want to introduce a builder, but we'll not do that right now.
So we put this back as a and make it.
No, let's go change the factor. Let's just duplicate that last one and add.
A second theme.
Yeah. And then you can drop the list in the caller.
The list and oh right, of course.
Cool.
That takes care of one. Now the
Mhm.
second band.
Yeah, veganism. I'm not sure about that. I I I I like keeping the inputs to be actual strings in the test code itself, or in the test code somewhere. I mean, we're going to do a builders, or we'll do a factory. I don't know that we need a. I feel like a builder for the inputs is a bit much. I don't like sort of concatenating strings and things like that. And then that's extra code that is sort of making certain assumptions. Yeah. I mean, we'll end up having to pull some of the literals out, but I'm not sure we need to go to a builder. If we wanted to sort of fuzz the inputs, then it's more like a property test, and then we might want some kind of thing that generates random strings. But I think that's a different kind of situation.
So in theory, this should just work.
Oops, sorry.
Oh, no
I hit the
worries.
wrong button. There we go.
Okay, letting it rip. But we could have mistyped something. There could be something janky that happened. Yep. I think it might be a. Oh no, we don't have a.
Can you make
Look,
the test a bit smaller?
I see it. Oh sure. So the issue is, it's taking single
Yeah, because you included.
as
We didn't.
a theme, but that's supposed to be an ignored column. That's a notes column, I think. Let me just double check.
I thought that's a release type.
No, it's
Oh,
a
that is
notes column.
notes. Uh,
I think we're getting bit by the whole hiding columns, and
yeah.
so we're just gonna have to suck it up and get through it. And then once we have header columns, our life will be better.
Right. Well, let's.
So something's wrong with this. Oh, but if I dragged it, if I copied it, how many columns we got?
Did we have record label before?
Let's go look at the previous code. No, we didn't.
Yeah.
That was a skipped column. Okay, let me go hide that one. And
I think you could just delete one of the tabs there.
yeah, I think that will do it.
And one there, yeah.
Should do it. Let's find out.
You can run just the IO free at this point. Yeah, Veganese is like, and I was wondering, it's like, why is single in notes and not release type?
Yeah, I don't think I have standardized on. Oh, right. Release type is not what you think it is. It's
Oh,
not
right.
format.
It's not the
Format is
format.
different.
Right,
Format
right,
is 7-inch,
right,
LP, CD,
right, right.
whatever. Yeah. That- It's a you've just pointed out that it's a confusing name.
Yeah,
Thank you.
ubiquitous language. What's your ubiquitous? What are your definitions for these things?
Right. So that passed.
Okay, so that passed. Um, let's. Yeah, so now we can break this. So we're sort of drilling in on our from our outside in direction. So let's break this by adding the header row.
And what are you doing up there? You're supposed to be down here.
Well, song factory is technically test code, but
Point taken. I was trying to find the test that, there we go. Now, does this one have record label? So that's actually wrong. Correct? So this one should still work.
what I might do is go back to the spreadsheet and copy the header row and paste it in here and just see what the difference is, since now you've
Yeah.
got the correct columns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if my hypothesis was true,
Right.
they're the
Yep.
same. Yep.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
So let's
So
paste that into our our test that we want to break.
should we retest this one to make sure this one still passes since we just changed it?
If you'd like.
I'm just going to do just this one test.
Sure. I
In
expect
theory,
it
it
to.
shouldn't
I
make a
expect
difference.
it shouldn't. Yeah, it shouldn't make a difference because we're not checking at the columns, and it ignores everything after the 9th column. So it has too many columns is not a problem.
Right. And it's looking for the song protest.
Yeah. Yep. But
Okay,
good to
go
check
back
the
here.
hypothesis. Yep.
Yeah.
So now we expect this to fail because it's going to have 3 songs.
Do we test for 3 songs? We don't. Well, we do it indirectly by saying we're
So
expecting.
it's gonna say that that there was a song expected, a song found that was not expected, which is the artist's
Right, because
song
it
title.
contains exactly in any order.
Yep.
Yeah. Let me fix this.
And this is why contains would not be the right thing to test here. We actually want contains exactly, and we don't care about order. So if we scroll down, it should say the following elements were unexpected, which is that one. Yep.
Yep.
Hello, Sweetie.
Hey, Sweetie.
All right. So let's disable this one, and then we can drop down a layer, a level, and a layer.
Yeah, it was this one. Now we're going to this layer. Correct?
Indeed, that's the layer we want. Yes. Basically the song parser. Yep.
We have a lot of tests in here. Nope, not that one. Control F12.
So there's two parse multiple songs. What's the second one? Is that something we actually want to get rid of? The one without the successful result in the name?
Oh, there it is.
So what's the difference between that one and the one above it? So this one just checks for successful result.
Right.
The other one checks for successful result and the correct song. So it feels like that's no longer needed. Maybe we needed that as a
Think when
stepping
we
stone.
were, yeah, I think it's a stepping stone to doing result to success implementation.
Yeah.
So you're thinking dump this one.
I'm thinking of dumping that one. Yes.
Okay. Agreed.
So what tests in here do we have that are checking multiples? Well, actually, it doesn't matter. They're all going to require a multi-line string. So let's start from the top.
They
I
don't currently all
I think
require multi-line strings, but they're
right
about to.
there. Well, so this parse, and maybe we should put this in a nested. This is testing the parse directly. So this one is not going to be a multi-line string.
Right, because we were testing. Which parse is this?
Or are we?
No, this is.
Oh, right. We're not testing parse song. Sorry. Okay. So yes, so this is going to have to be multi-line.
And there's, yeah, half dozen of them. And
So what we could do is have a method that's called create songs with header, and then instead of just directly assigning it, call that method, and then we insert the header. And so we can do that in a backwards compatible way by doing that for all the setups where we don't add anything, and then have our factory method then add the header, and then all the tests will break. Unless we want to, because I don't think we can. Right, this goes back to the sort of the backwards compatibility thing. I don't think we can do this in a backward compatible way.
right, we're going to break
Um,
all the tests at once.
because we can fix all the tests at once by basically skipping the first line. That's the first step. And then we can start writing tests that start manipulating which columns we're including. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you're saying create a sort of a setup factory method here?
Yeah, so if you extract the string,
Right.
just the string part into a method, the whole
Including
string.
the quotes.
Yeah. And say create TSV songs with header. And then now take the string and push introduce parameter on it.
Oh. Oh, Control
So
Alt
can I
T.
pause you for a
Right.
second? Can you bring that
Sure.
menu back up? Because
Yeah, you bet.
I wanna drill something home. So go to the extract introduce.
Those are all Control Alt.
They're all Control Alt.
Yeah.
So the four main things you're likely going five actually, right? Variable, constant, field, parameter, method. All the
Yep.
extract introduces are Control Alt with a letter that pretty much makes sense, other than maybe method you might not think of, but right, V for variable, C for constant, F for field, P for parameter, M for method. So Control Alt is all your extract introduce stuff.
Right. No, I knew that. I actually blanked on the P part, not the Control Alt part.
Yeah.
And I was like,
And
which one
yeah,
is it?
so I was mainly pointing it out not just for you, but for everyone that all those are related. And if you just
Together.
can remember on the Mac, it's Command Option. On the Windows, it's Control Alt.
It's kind of cool when you think about it because it's this, sort of
It's
side
that
menu
menu. Yeah,
and
exactly.
everything under there,
Yeah.
except for this one, the functional
Yeah,
stuff.
but who I mean, I that one I rarely use, so that one I don't care about.
Right.
It's what ones you're gonna use commonly. Like, it's funny, it's like the order of this menu, I'd probably push method,
To
the
the
method
top.
section to the top, yeah,
Yeah.
or at least maybe under parameter.
Yeah. Agreed.
So, hey there, El Wally asks about, is result a good name? Isn't it too generic? It is a generic class. So this is in our parse, we created this result type that returns either the success with its value or one or more failure messages. And so this is actually part of the result pattern, which is much more common in .NET. I don't see it as much in the Java world, even though I think it's very useful. And this idea of the result was a I forget if I originally encountered it, but if you look up railway oriented programming, not railroad programming, but railway oriented programming, it's a very functional style of where you can basically do a bunch of operations, combine them together, and you basically get success because you've mapped everything through correctly, or you get failures and then you get your final failure messages and not have to deal with exceptions. It's not to say never use exceptions, but in this case, we expect failures, right? We expect input to be bad, right? That's not an exceptional case. That's not like, oh, we lost connection to our database or our file, uh, you know, couldn't be read. And so we want those. So that's what the result class is. So it actually is a generic. And our implementation is really simplistic. We'll get more complex over time because you can get pretty little. You can get pretty interesting if you really push the functional side. Hey there, JT. So we are doing what's called test-driven development, as you can see on my hat, TDD. And so what you want to do is you break the test first, and then you want to fix the code. But because we're testing in levels and layers, right? So we have um, we're tests at the outermost layer where the text comes in from from a form submission. So we have a test at that layer, but then that layer pretty much just delegates to the next layer, which is the application layer. That doesn't do very much more other than some other stuff, and then it finally delegates to the actual code that's doing it. Right, so you've got two um, layers of delegation, and we can't fix the outside tests until we actually fix the innermost. So what we do is the way I do it is make the test fail at the outermost level, then disable it, and then make sure you have a rule that you don't have disabled tests for very long. Then go to the next level or layer, have a failing test, disable that since you can't fix it yet. Then at the innermost level, which is where we are now, testing directly against the thing that's doing the parsing of the songs, then we're going to create that test and fail, and then we can finally fix the code. Once that test passes, then we pop back out to each layer and turn the test back on, and it should succeed. If not, then we've done something wrong because somewhere in between the layers. And so we sort of do this, outside in and then back inside out to do things.
Good question.
So yeah.
More chats, or are we going back into the code?
Let's
rather
go
than
back into
watching
the
the
code.
chat.
Yeah, I
Cool.
think we're good. Yeah.
So we've got
Yeah, so let's do that introduce parameter.
right. That's what we're going to do.
That's what we're going to do.
P.
No.
Now,
On the method
yeah,
inside the method itself, because you want to introduce the string as a parameter, and you don't have to select
right.
anything. Just do introduce parameter.
Ah, oh,
And this is TSV songs.
whoa.
I don't know what you did.
Me neither. Undo. Oh, it's asking for the name.
Yeah, for
Sorry, I
the
thought it was
parameter.
asking for the type string. Okay, so we want to call it
TSV songs.
just TSV songs. Why does it say? Well, I'm gonna hit enter. Yes.
So now it's asking if you want to replace this other one with that. No, I would say cancel. Oh, yeah, because it saw a similarity between the parameter we're sending in, and it suggested a duplication that's not really a duplicate.
Ah,
So let's use this new factory method with the rest of the tests.
let me just look at the structure. Okay, she's just doing that. No.
So you can just go to the end and do a .arg. And then paste the method. Yep. And do the same thing there.
The long lines are killing me.
Yeah. Yep. This one we'll have to come back to, but this and yeah, we'll have to come back to the failure ones. Well, let's focus on the success ones. That one.
Which one?
The one that, yeah, skip empty and blank rows. No, you already passed it. Go back. The one on 86. We want to do that as well. Because it's still successful. It's just talking about skipping stuff.
Is that right?
Yeah.
It feels wrong there. Okay.
Before we move on to much further, so far most of the ones we were replacing were single line strings. This one's a multi-line.
Right.
Let's run our test to make sure that we haven't broken anything with any of these yet.
Yeah, this multi-line has me concerned. That was quick.
Well, they should be quick. I mean, right now I wouldn't expect it to fail because it's pretty much you pass it the string and it's returning what you pass it.
Right.
So let's do the same thing. Yep.
For this one, yep. Oh, I see what's happening. It's reformatting on its own.
Yeah. Because you're indenting the opening triple double quote, and so it moves things around. But if you see the alignment of the strings is based on where the closing triple quote is, not where the opening is, and that's why IntelliJ is highlighting. That's where Java will treat the start of the line, which is correct.
Got it.
I don't know why it indents.
It's weird.
8 characters in from a method call, but that's what it does. It's probably a setting in configuration somewhere. I'll have to look for that song.
Control Alt L will reformat. Let's see what it does with it. No, it doesn't actually.
So you could do it again and see what happens.
Once.
So if you do twice in a row.
Sure. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, so what it does is it mucked up all of our assert that.
Aye.
We don't want that. So
undo.
Yeah.
That's good enough undo, right? Yeah, I think so. Just at one level.
Oh, hey, buddy, coffee mug. I love your avatar. Um,
Go back to the top.
do we handle all of them? Is there no further tests? I did that one.
That's it.
Okay. Let's do a commit.
So we actually will just run test one more time since it's fast and cheap.
All right. So this was pretty much prepared our tests for, I don't know, breaking them in a consistent way, or for breaking them by adding a header. All right.
Sounds good.
Yep. All right. Now it's time to break it. You could probably grab 14 and put that in.
Is 14 legit? That's the only thing I'm concerned about. Let me go grab it from here. Because that's 14's a comment.
Yeah, I would probably delete the comment at this point.
Yeah,
If
I was
you're
just
not
wondering
sure.
if is that. Yeah. So we're gonna.
What are you doing?
You said you wanted me to put the header. Do we turn this into a multi-line and add it?
No, we want to put that in the factory method, because we
Oh,
want all methods now to include the header. That was the point of extracting
right.
this.
Got it. Does this work? Yeah.
Yep.
So is just header plus.
Yeah. Right, because we want to require the header row above all inputs.
Right, and we've got that
And
/n down
now
here for the
we
new line.
expect pretty much
Bedlam.
all the tests that are calling this are not going to fail. So that's going to
Yeah.
be what, like five of them, 6 of them.
Let's see. Control F12. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tests.
Yeah, but some of those are failure mode tests.
Oh, right, and we did not modify those.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's just let it rip.
Yep, 5. And they'll all fail in the way that we expected, which was it didn't expect the header row, which is currently just processing as another song.
Yeah.
So they're all going to be basically off by 1 errors, although not the typical off by 1 error.
Okay.
All right. So let's do the simplest thing that could possibly fix this, which will probably then break also the failure mode ones. But that's fine.
So parse is using a stream.
Suiji, what are we missing? The commit contained 2 disabled tests. Were there other problems that we didn't see?
It says test ignored.
Yeah, so they weren't failed, they were just ignored, and it treats it, which I think is great. It treats those tests as problematic. So what we can do is Stream has a great method called skip. So we can do a skip. So right after lines, we can do dot skip, and we can say 1.
So now those should pass, but the
Those
other
should
ones are
pass,
still
but
failing.
our failure ones will likely fail.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Only one of the failure ones failed. Expected size 2, but was 1.
Right, because it's now skipping one that should be.
Right, because we didn't
Yeah.
have the header.
So
even though it looks headerish.
So here, yeah, let's put in the header and then put in better malformed songs.
Yeah. Where's the header?
You can just call the create method.
Oh, right. Are we? Oh, we're in a different test.
Oh, we are in a different
class.
test. All right, then let's just copy paste it. Well, we could promote it to a factory method. So let's undo this and then go back.
I think I undid it. Yeah, I'm undone.
Yeah, so let's promote our factory method. So the 2 steps are make it static and then move it to a new class.
Got it. And the move will change the scope to public at that movement.
It'll open it probably to package access because it basically escalates it to just enough to be visible. So it's just F6, yeah.
What would we want to call this new class? I'm trying my darndest not to use the word utils.
I'm fine with factory. So
TSV
song
TSV
factory.
song factory.
Yeah.
Why do I feel like we already have a TSV song factory somewhere?
I don't know. We have a song factory, but we don't have a
Oh,
TSV
that's
song
true.
factory.
You're right. Now it wants fully qualified name. Is there a way to
Right. So
say
what I usually do is type another test class. So like song factory. And then hit enter. No, song, let it auto complete the whole thing and then hit enter.
there we go.
And then I back up and replace
do
it.
that.
Yep.
Got it. Want to escalate
Yep.
visibility.
Yep.
Or accessibility, depending.
Yes.
I couldn't see your face on that. It was covered by my screen. But
Yep.
Now we want this to go to main.
No, this is only for tests.
Test.
Yeah.
Yep. No, it took me a second. We're good otherwise, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yep. Cool.
All right, and so now we can use it from our song importer test.
Yes, it was this one.
We've already got the parens there, so you don't need to type a .arg again.
Oh, good point. Oh, that's left over from before, I think.
Yeah.
Really?
Probably because we're in a different package, so we need to go and make that public. Because we are in a different layer.
So I see. Yeah. Here.
Yep.
Got it.
So Veganase, you probably won't run into in reality, you probably won't run into any problems, but if you drop the .com, then somebody could collide with you with their libraries. Although since most libraries follow that, they won't collide, but they did the reverse domain name on purpose because by definition it is worldwide unique. Uh, it's been 28 years and it hasn't yet, so I don't believe that statement. I'm going to disagree with you on that. There are lots of people who use package names that are disconnected from a domain name, and that's their prerogative. You can do whatever you want, um, but I think it's bad form. Yeah, there are limitations, but that hasn't been a cause for problems in my long experience. All right, so how about we fix up the contents of that test that you're in?
Right.
Actually, that's not true, Mighty Coffee Mug. That's for a DNS lookup, but that is not the name of the domain. So don't mix up your RFCs. But I believe there are other things around characters and so on that you can have in certain domains that would not be valid Java code. But you start getting into extended character sets and stuff like that, where it's like, I don't know, all bets are off.
Actually, I want one with a title.
Thanks, Mighty Coffee Mug. Appreciate keeping me on my toes.
Okay, now we've got some real. Do
Right.
we? Yeah. We
So we're
just
expecting
erase
2
that.
failure messages because both of those will fail. We will now actually still get 2 failures because the first one will parse will parse correctly. Oh, this test was failing before because it was only getting 1. Now it should pass because we're adding the header row. So
Right.
this one should pass again.
Okay.
I think we still
Wait a
have.
second.
Go ahead. Yeah.
But we still want to clean up the other ones that have artist.
Yes. So
Is that here? No, it's a header row.
I think that's it for this test class. So now we can go back to our TSV song parser test.
Go to the top.
Yeah, let's go through all of them again.
Yeah. Don't care is probably okay.
Yeah, I think that's fine
They're not close to.
because it's not the same as artist.
Right. There's one.
Yeah,
Actually, I can steal that one from. Where was it?
it was in song importer test.
Thought it was. Yeah. There it is. It was a 2 and a 3. Ha, ha. Okay. And there's another one.
And we want to make sure we call the
Yeah,
add
we're not
header
doing
row.
that. This would be. And That one we already changed.
Yep.
And that one.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, let's run them.
So now the failure ones are not failing.
Well,
of course, I know. I was curious.
so let's go to that test and see.
Returns failure result for a row with not enough columns.
Oh, because we're doing calling parse song. That's why. So actually, we don't want to add the header row.
Ah.
So let's revert that.
Yep.
Okay. Can we change the name of this test?
Yes.
Say parse single song in front of it. Yep.
Well, single wasn't spelled correctly. Parse sing song.
Sing song.
Probably should have real artists.
Why wouldn't it be hard-coded? Thing is, we're expecting an explicit error message where there should be 2 columns. So what else will we do? Or what are you thinking? Yeah, so let's change the contents to be more realistic. You might have that in your buffer.
Probably do, but too late. Actually, I'm probably going to make a mess of it when I do this.
Yes, you are.
Yep, big mess. What's the buffer?
So this is where control W is your friend, so you can make sure not to accidentally do a quote. And now you can just clean up the \n at the end as well.
Yeah. Oh, it put in spaces. Interesting.
Not in this test. The test is very explicitly saying I am giving you a song with 2 columns. So therefore we expect exactly 2 columns. Yes, that's my favorite constant is make it harder to read. Indeed.
So when I ran, we had a failure.
Right, because we changed the contents of the
Oh, right.
of the failure. Now that should pass.
Yep.
Excellent. So now if we pop back out to our song importer test and re-enable the disable test there. Since we're now just skipping it, it should now pass.
Is this one IO free? Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
And then
we can pop back out to the other disable test.
which was startup?
No.
No. Service. Right. The layer below that.
Yes. We are planning to actually parse. So the current task we're working on, the current story we're working on, is we want to handle columns better, and so we want to do matching of columns to the header row. So we want to require the header row, and so the first step was basically always having a header row in our tests that's valid, and then we'll start writing some tests that start manipulating that. While he asks, we currently use dbunit to write unit tests for a repository layer. What do I think. I would say, what are you actually testing? If you're using, for example, Spring Data's repository, are you writing custom queries and things like that? In which case, maybe, although I prefer to just use data JPA tests and test things directly. So it's hard for me to answer that question without seeing examples of the tests you're writing, which is a a great thing to ask in the Discord, questions like that, because then you can share code fragments and things like that. But in general, I haven't used dbunit directly in a long time because pretty much trust my ORM to do the right thing. All right. So we're now skipping the first line and we propagated all those things out. So yeah, we can do a commit.
I don't really like that, the wording of that at all. I don't
Yeah,
know.
if you're writing JPQL to queries, I always look first at, can you use derived queries, right? The method names to structure those. But if you've got complex enough queries, uh, again, not sure why you'd use dbunit and not just directly test against the repository that it retrieves the right things. So I always see dbunit as a lower level thing, and that's why I just don't use it, at least if I'm in the Spring framework. Like, why not just call the method and expect that you get an object that has the right data? Because it's doing the translation of stuff for you. And dbunit seems just overhead that's not needed. But again, I haven't used dbunit in many years, so I don't know. I'm not sure how you're using it.
Okay, commit message.
Might be important to say that we currently ignore.
Ah, but not for long.
Yep. All right. So what's our next step?
We want so ultimately, right now we're just skipping the header row. We want to start
Right.
making sure that each column has the correct header row text. We're already testing for number of columns. So now we're expecting, do we want to start off constraining the order? In other words, at first have it be, this is the order of columns, and then later on deal with, we don't care what the order is as long as the header row is correct for that column.
I need an example of what you're thinking. So maybe
Oh,
maybe write a test.
yeah, I'm trying to think of how to describe it. So right now we're artificially creating this header row that has this order.
Hmm.
So I guess my question is, what if we change the order? Is that like a sort of a second level functionality? First level is we expect the headers to be there in this order with these names.
Well, it's not the we don't actually the
Uh,
whole I think isn't the whole idea we don't care about the order. We just want to
right. Yeah.
match columns. So
I was,
what's our first step in that direction?
gotcha. Yeah, I was thinking of a baby step as like doing it partially, but now I'm. Hmm.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure what you mean by partially, which is why I said
Yeah, I think that
why
there
don't you
is
write it?
no.
Okay. Which is
Yeah, I
why
don't think I have a test.
okay. Yeah. If you
Yeah.
can't write a test, then it's not clear enough for us.
Right. Right. Right.
Can you delete line 13? That's gonna annoy me
13.
on the
Yeah,
top.
there we go. Yep, found it. Hmm.
Somebody coffee mug, yes, and I posted a link to the source code. Um, and we prefer Jira.text because it means we can not leave our editor. And we're not assigning things, we're not uh, having contributions and comments, so there's no need for anything else.
The simplest thing that'll work.
Yep.
Speaking of, what would be the simplest next step? um,
So we could do something where I don't know the second header, but I'm thinking so there's sort of two directions I can see us going. One is still correct, but we've swapped columns. Another direction is do a better job of skipping columns, which is kind of where we were heading because I think it was less about order and more about, oh, we keep not hiding the right columns, and so we have columns that we don't need. So I think if we had a header that had the columns that you're currently hiding, we should be able to
right.
skip those because that's really what we want. So I think that's really our next thing. It may not be the smallest step from an implementation standpoint.
Mhm.
But that's all gotta start somewhere.
Something like that. Skip unexpected header columns.
Well, we're not skipping the header column, we're skipping that column entirely when we're parsing the rows, which is what we're saying on
Right.
line 62.
Right.
I'm
What
not sure what
52?
I'm not sure what you mean by that, by what you just said.
Um, skip columns with an unexpected header. That's what I was trying to say. If that's clearer. In other words, if there's a column that's currently hidden, it's going to come in
Right, I'm not
when
sure what you
we.
mean by unexpected.
Oh, um, that doesn't match our current expected columns, which is,
Do we have
let's
those
see if we got one.
defined?
Well, yes, within this method.
Well, but that's more columns
But
than we actually parse. So it's not that they're so expected feels like a confusing term to me because
mm,
right now we're expecting notes, but we don't do anything with it.
right.
So it's more like that's why I like unused,
Mm.
which is
Oh,
what
I didn't
which
catch
you
the
originally
unused part.
which is what you originally wrote in the Jira.
Ah.
right? So line 62 says skip over unused columns,
Ah.
which is why I was wondering why you were repeating that in line 64, which is basically saying the same thing.
Yeah, I was going like step 1, step 2.
Yeah, so now we basically just,
Recursive.
draw the rest of the owl, as it were. So we've done 63, although we're not looking at the sentinel at all.
Right.
Maybe that's important, maybe that's not.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Just leave it down here for now.
So I think the next step is only only parse columns that we want. Yes, draw the rest of the F and L. First draw some circles and an oval, and now draw the rest of the F and L.
I do not know that reference, but
so let's so we need to define what those columns are. So what are the columns that
we want.
that are valid that we want? And those are defined in the song. In our song object, right? Those are the ones that matter because that's what we're parsing.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right now we're looking at those 1, 2, 3, 4. Plus a list of themes.
So we can put that in a list of what our of the expected actual, but we need to know what the column header representations of those are.
Right. I'm going to put this here for a second and then get the column representation of them from the factory. What do you think? Comma separated or a new line for each? For the JIRA, or just do it more like 68 without the string part.
I think comma separated is fine.
Yeah.
So we don't want contributor, and we don't want notes. So these are the columns that we do want, right? So artist, song title, release type, and then 1 through 4 themes. Yep.
1 second, I have to pause for a second.
Yep. So my opinion is this will matter more because we're going to be generating a lot of code that's going to be pretty bad. I'm going to have to do a lot of cleanup. That's all I'll say.
What did I miss?
Oh, I was just commenting on Mighty Coffee Mugs about prompt engineering and stuff.
Oh. It crashed everyone's morale.
It'll be more important to know how to refactor. Even more so.
Yeah. So we can delete this. Now we've got our list.
Yep. I think we can drop that because we're going to require that those columns exist. So that might be
and we don't even, do we have to even require artist being the first column? We don't anymore, do we?
No, we basically are currently at the assumption that the first row must be the header row,
Right.
and that there's only one header row.
Yeah.
So, just a time check. We're currently at noon. Wasn't
Sure.
sure
I
how
could.
much.
I probably have energy for another 30,
Okay.
but I could end sooner if you want to. I'm
Yeah, let's
pretty
let's let's go for about another 15 minutes.
okay. Sounds good. I am actually hungry, so
Yep.
I was like, how much do I ignore being hungry?
So, I think we want to change instead of having enough columns, does it have these headers? Does that make sense? In other words, here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
One,
So we've got
two,
8
three,
column
four,
headers, and we want to require that all of those exist. So this is a change in our minimal expectation of require 9 columns. We're now saying that must have these 8 columns. So it's not. So that might be the intermediate step before we actually parse it.
Now the header could have is it must have these at least these 8 columns
Um,
because we're ignoring all the rest.
sure. Yes. We can say any other columns are ignored, but for now, it just must have those. Yeah. All right. So let's write a test for that.
At the parser level.
Yeah. So we can start now, sort of inside out. So you probably want to start with the parse song method, which is going to be interesting because it won't have access to the header. So that might not be a good place to start, but we can look at it.
Oh,
Yeah. So right now, what it does is it looks for uh, the
number of
the
columns.
number of columns, right? Yeah, I think we'll have to start from here and then propagate outwards.
Outwards or inward?
Well, we're at the innermost call in the
Oh,
call
right.
stack.
Parse calls parse song. Duh.
Yeah. Um,
Oh, this is going to be interesting.
so we could start here, or we could start at the outer layer. Uh, but either way, I think the interesting part is in this method. Because what this requires is the song and the header row. Because otherwise it won't know how to do the mapping.
Oh, right.
Um, we could, uh, and this is more of a design issue. Um, we could, when we create the parser, hand in the header row, and then, but that feels like a design choice that I'm not sure about. Right. So currently we don't have a constructor. So wherever we're constructing it, so if we look for references to the constructor, right? So we're just we can look at how song service actually does it, right? It's always creating a new parser every time we call import songs. And so right there, it could peel off the header row and pass that in. That just feels wrong. It feels like the service is making a decision that's really not its to make.
Oh, you were saying having this method peel off the header row from
From the
TSV songs,
right.
then pass it into TSV songs. Yeah, I agree. That's
Yeah. All
yeah.
right. So I think we need to start sort of, we don't have to, but I think probably starting at parse song itself. Because we look at parse, um,
Parse song. There it is.
yeah, I mean, we we have a choice. We could do an outside in, have a test against the parse that has different columns. It fails, we disable it, and then we test directly against parse song. What do you think?
I must be tired. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not. Not able to have an opinion.
Okay.
I got up at 5 this morning.
Yeah.
So
Well, then maybe this is a good place to stop.
yeah.
So let's leave ourselves some good breadcrumbs for next time. So let's go back to Jira and make sure that makes sense for us. So I think the next test we write is one that passes in just those 8 columns, because that would currently fail. And that would force us to ignore, to only include those 8 columns.
So you're saying. Sorry, what was the test again?
That only passes these required 8 columns.
And that will fail.
And that will fail because currently we require 9. And maybe
And that'll
change the
be
word
at
maybe change the word passes to
yeah.
uses.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
And that would be at the.
That would be at the parse song level. Or
Parse
at
song
the
level.
well, we didn't decide, so
We didn't decide, right?
we don't know where that is yet. Yep.
To do decide whether to test at parse or parse song level.
Right. All right. Yeah, Mighty Coffee Mike. I'm not sure. It doesn't feel like it's the job of service layer to peel that off. I agree. That's sort of my thinking. Is this kind of like the parser? Here's the schema for your to parsing, but we create it and then we throw it away, and so it doesn't necessarily have to be included there. But we'll see. We may end up with that, but I don't know that we'll go that way right out of the bat. Yep. Yeah. I mean, even with the short, we only took one short break.
Yeah.
Typically, you'd want to take more frequent
breaks.
breaks.
Yeah.
And some longer breaks at this point. So
and not be sleep deprived.
Well, that helps. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Then Thursday, it is a hard stop day.
Yep.
That one is 2 hours.
Yep.
Cool.
All right. So thanks for hanging out, folks. Appreciate it as always. Make sure, if you haven't already, subscribed and followed on the various platforms, you do so, as well as joining the Discord. Join the Discord if you're not already there. Otherwise, I'll probably be doing a solo stream tomorrow, and then Mike will be back with us on Thursday, same starting time as we did today, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, which is 5:30 p.m. UTC, and we'll see you then.
Take care.
All right, bye.